Good morning. Today, our group will be presenting a review of the movie Dead Poets Society, directed by Peter Weir and released in 1989. At first glance, this movie may look like a simple story about students, poetry, and school life. However, as the story unfolds, we realize that it is much more than that. It is a powerful film about thinking, expressing oneself, and having the courage to follow one's own path. The movie is set in a traditional and highly disciplined boarding school where rules, obedience, and academic excellence are given top priority. In this environment, students are expected to follow instructions without questioning them. Creativity and personal expressions are not encouraged, and success is defined in a very limited way. The story takes a turning point with the arrival of an English teacher, Mr. John Caton. Unlike other teachers, Mr. Keating does not believe in teaching only from textbooks. Instead, he encourages his students to think independently, look at life from a different perspective, and find their own voices. Through poetry, discussions, and unconditional teaching methods, he inspires students to understand that words and ideas have the power to shape thoughts and decisions. One of the central idea of the movie is the message Carpe Diem, which means seize the day. This message encourages students to live in the present, make meaningful choices, and not let fear or social pressure stop them from following their passions. The movie beautifully shows how this idea influences the student in different ways and how it challenges the rigid system that they're living in. Although the movie is set in a school, its themes are universal and timeless. It talks about communication, leadership, individuality, pressure, expectations, and emotional expressions. These topics are relevant not only in education but also in personal life and professional environment. This is why the movie is often discussed in the context of leadership and business communication as well. Through this presentation, our group will analyze Dead Poets Societies using different yardsticks provided in the rubric. Each speaker will focus on a specific aspect of the movie, helping us understand why this film continues to inspire audience even after decades.
Good morning. My name is Mehak, and today I'll be talking about the originality of the movie The Dead Poets Society. So, this movie, The Dead Poets Society, it's actually a very unique and original movie because it brings into consideration a lot of factors such as authority, education, and learning, but in a very unconventional manner. So unlike most of the films that actually portrays teachers as strict rule followers or say heroic saviors, this movie introduces a character called as Mr. John Keatings. He's actually a mentor who believes in freedom of speech, understanding the concern as well as understanding the problem of people rather than actually controlling. So his teaching style is actually not about memorizing but about understanding life through words. So the originality in the movie it lies in its message called as Carpe Diem that actually encourages students to seize the day and live life meaningfully. So instead of actually sitting behind the desk and following textbooks, Mr. Keatings has a very different approach to learning. He asks students to actually rip the pages out of the book, stand on the desks, and express their opinions freely. So this method it basically challenges your traditional teaching systems and make the classroom basically a space for dialogue rather than just instruction. Another novel aspect of this movie is that it does not romanticize rebellion. While Mr. Keatings actually inspires the students to think independently, the film it also talks about the consequences as well as shows the consequences of challenging rigid systems without support. So this balance basically between inspiration and realism is what makes the movie intellectually very honest. So the movie's originality, it also comes from emotional storytelling. It does not rely on dramatic twists or action twists, but actually it focuses on inner conflicts, personal struggles, communication gaps that actually takes place between three people. That is nothing but your parents, your teachers, as well as the students. Even though this film was actually released decades ago, the issues it addresses, that is conformity, fear of failure, pressure, it is all relevant even today. So, in this context of business communication, this movie it actually emphasizes the importance of perspective, creativity, as well as critical thinking. These qualities is actually what makes Dead Poet Society a timeless and an original piece of cinema.
Key learnings and takeaways. That Poet Society offers several powerful learnings that extend far beyond the classroom and remain highly relevant in today's personal, academic, and professional environment. One of the most important takeaways from the movie is the importance of independent thinking. At Welton Academy, students are trained to follow rules, memorize content, and obey authority without questioning it. However, through Mr. Keating's teaching, the students slowly realize that learning is not about blindly accepting ideas, but about thinking critically and forming one's own perspective. This lesson is extremely relevant today, especially in business and management, where success depends on problem solving, innovation, and the ability to challenge outdated practices. Another learning from the movie is the power of communication. Mr. Keating does not communicate like a traditional teacher. Instead of commanding authority, he uses storytelling, emotion, humor, and empathy to connect with students. His words inspire action, confidence, and self-belief. This highlights an important principle of business communication. How you say something often matters more than what you say. Leaders who communicate with clarity and emotional intelligence are more likely to motivate teams and build trust. The movie also strongly emphasizes the need for self-expression. Many characters, especially Neil Perry, struggle because they are unable to express their true desires openly. Neil's tragic journey shows how suppression of emotions and lack of honest communication can lead to severe consequences. This teaches us that open dialogue, whether between parents and children, managers and employees, or peers, is essential for emotional well-being and healthy decision making. Another major takeaway is courage with responsibility. Mr. Keating encourages students to seize the day, but the film clearly shows that freedom comes with accountability. The students learn that taking a stand requires emotional maturity and awareness of consequences. In professional life, this lesson is crucial. Innovation, leadership, and growth require bold decisions. But those decisions must be taken responsibly and ethically. The movie also highlights the difference between authority-based leadership and influence-based leadership. Mr. Keating does not force students to follow him. Instead, he inspires them. This reflects modern leadership styles where influence, collaboration, and motivation are more effective than fear and control. Overall, that Poet Society teaches us to think independently, communicate openly and empathetically, respect individuality, balance freedom with responsibility, lead through inspiration rather than authority. These lessons make the movie not just emotionally powerful but also highly relevant for students of management and business communication. Thank
One of the greatest strengths for Dead Poet Society is its emotional depth. The film connects very strongly with the audience because of its relatability. Each student represents a different personality. Todd's shyness and lack of self confidence shows the fear of many students. Neil's story explains about the strict parents. Knox's character represents innocence and boldness in a teenage love, while Charlie shows rebellion against the authorities. The characters are not exaggerated, they behave like real teenagers with real emotions. Because of this realism, viewers does not feel like watching a movie, rather they invest in the movie emotionally, making this a story powerful and heartbreaking. Another major strength of this film is Robin Williams' performance as Mr. Keating. His acting is warm, inspiring, and deeply natural. He does not behave like a typical strict teacher. Instead, he brings humor, kindness, and creativity into the classroom. What makes his performance special in this movie? It motivates students through encouragement rather than fear. His teaching style, asking students to see the world differently, stand on a desk, and think for themselves, makes his character both memorable and believable. Robin Williams uses subtle expressions, voice tones, and gentle gestures to show emotion, which makes Mr. Keating feel like a real mentor who truly cares about his students. His presence becomes the emotional heart of the film. The storytelling of the film is also a strong point. The narrative flow is smooth and develops gradually, allowing the audience to connect with the characters over the time. The film does not rely on action or dramatic twists. Instead, it focuses on conversations, relationships, and personal growth. It emotionally builds up the effect, which makes the events later on much more impactful. The dialogues are meaningful, memorable, especially those related to individuality, perspectives, and courage. The ideal, the idea of seizing the day becomes a guiding message that story with the audience even after the movie ends. Technically, the film is well crafted. The cinematography plays an important role in showing the contrast between the rigid school environment and the free spirited ideas of Mr. Keating. The dark uniforms, formal classrooms, and old architecture represents discipline and tradition, while scenes involving poetry and personal expressions feel more open and warm. This visual contrast strengthens the main theme without needing too much explanation. The background music also adds an emotional depth to the film, acts as an important barrier to the film. All these strengths, emotional connection, realistic characters, powerful acting, meaningful storytelling, and strong technical presentation came up together to make Dead Poet Society a memorable and impactful film.
Hello everyone, my name is Shashank and let me take you through the weakness and areas of improvement of the movie. Another area where the film may feel limited is its idealistic portrayal of Mr. Keating teaching philosophy. While his approaches is inspiring and transformative, the movie does not fully explore the practical challenges or long-term consequences of such unconventional teaching methods within a right academic system. A more balanced portrayal could have added realism and complexity. The movie also tends to romanticize rebellion without deeply addressing responsibility. While encouraging students to think independently is powerful, the consequences of impulsive decision making, especially in Neil's case, not examined from multiple angles. This can lead some viewers to feel that the movie oversimplifies a very serious and sensitive issue. Another limitation of the predictability of certain narrative areas. Viewers familiar with coming of age or teaching student dramas may anticipate key plot developments early on, introducing more unexpected turns or deeper internal conflicts could have enhanced emotional impact. Additionally, the film's emotional intensity may feel overwhelming to some audiences. The heavy themes of pressure, conformity, and identity were presented with great seriousness, leaving little room for emotional relief. A more balanced tone could have made the experience more accessible to a wider audience. Finally, the movie largely presents the institutional as one dimension, portraying authority figures as strictly rigid or unsympathetic. A more nuanced depiction of the movie administration or parents might have offered a richer exploration of the systematic pressures affecting both students and adults. Despite these areas of improvement, these limitations do not weaken the film's legacy. Instead, they invite viewers to question, debate, and interpret its theme more deeply, making Dead Poets Society not just a film to watch, but a film to reflect upon. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about the motivation factors and the message from the Dead Poets Society and the impact it has on its audience. The movie Dead Poets Society delivers a powerful motivational message about living life with passion, confidence, and individuality. At its core, it is a story that encourages people to break away from fear, pressure, and rigid expectations and instead discover their true potential. One of the most inspiring themes in the movie is the importance of the carpe diem, meaning seize the day. Through this message, the film motivates viewers to make the most of their lives, take meaningful opportunities, and not postpone their dreams. The movie teaches that life is short and individuals should not waste it living only to satisfy society or the others. Another strong motivational aspect is that role of Mr. John Keating, the teacher who becomes a symbol of inspiration. His teaching style is different from traditional education. Instead of forcing memorization, he motivates students to think creatively, express themselves freely, and build confidence. His methods highlight that true learning is not just about rules, but about understanding life deeply. The movie also conveys a message about self-expression and courage. Characters like Neil Perry represent the desire to follow one's passion despite external pressure. Neil's love for acting shows how personal dreams matter and how important it is to communicate one's feelings and choices openly. And from a business communication perspective, the movie motivates us to become better communicators by speaking with confidence, thinking independently, challenging outdated ideas, encouraging more innovation and creativity, leading others through inspiration rather than authority. So overall, Dead Poets Society teaches that success is not only defined by societal standards but by personal fulfillment, passion, and the courage to live authentically. Now we'll go to the audience impact it had. The emotional and motivational impact of Dead Poets Society on the audience is deep and long lasting. The movie strongly connects with viewers because it reflects real life struggles such as academic pressure, fear of failure, parental expectations, and the need for self identity. One of the biggest impacts on the audience is the feeling of inspiration. Mr. Keating's character encourages audiences to rethink how they approach life, education, and personal goals. Viewers often feel motivated to pursue their passions and not remain trapped in routine or forced paths. The movie also creates a strong emotional connection through its realistic portrayal of young students. Many audience members, especially students, relate to the challenges of expressing themselves in a strict system. This makes the movie impactful because it makes people reflect on their own lives and decisions. Another significant impact is the film's message about mental health and pressure. Neil's tragic fate leaves the audience shocked and emotionally moved. It highlights how harmful excessive control, lack of emotional support, and communication gaps can be. This encourages viewers to understand the importance of open dialogue in families and institutions. The movie also influences the audience by promoting critical thinking, individuality, empathy, and understanding, etc. In business communication terms, the audience learns how powerful communication can be in shaping minds and influencing people. Mr. Keating's speeches, classroom interaction, and motivational words show that effective communication is not just about speaking, it is about inspiring change. The final scene, where students stand on their desks saying, "Oh Captain, my Captain," leaves a powerful impact on viewers. It represents loyalty, courage, and standing up for what one believes is right. The moment stays with audiences as a symbol of respect or institutional or inspirational leadership. Overall, Dead Poets Society impacts audiences by encouraging them to live meaningfully, speak bravely, and follow their inner voice despite challenges. Thank you.
In conclusion, Dead Poets Society is far more than classroom drama or a story about poetry. It's a film that goes beyond entertainment, delivers deeply meaningful message about life, choice and responsibility. Through its characters and conflicts, the film explores communication, individuality, courage and the emotional cost of living a life designed by others. These themes are presented in structured yet emotionally engaging way. Allow the audience not only to understand them but to feel them. One of the most powerful idea of the film introducing is Carpe Diem, seize the day. However, the film does not present the idea as simple motivation or reckless rebellion. Instead, Carpe Diem is shown as awareness, the awareness that life is limited, that the time is fragile, and that the postponing honestly with oneself comes to a cost. John Keating message encouraging students to think deeply about their choice, not to act impulsively but to live consciously. The film reminds us to seize the day is not about doing everything, it's about choosing what truly matters. The theme of communication plays a crucial role throughout the film. The academy students are surrounded by authority figures who speak, interest, and command, but rarely listen. Parents communicate expectation, institution communicate rules, but emotional communication is missing. Through Keating teaching, the film highlights how powerful communication can be. It creates a space for expression, dialogue, and understanding. At the same time, it shows the devastating consequences when communication fails, especially between parents and children. Individuality is another central theme explored with honesty and complexity. Dead Poet Society does not claim that following one passion guaranteed happiness or success. Instead, it presents more realistic and painful truth. Discovering one's identity is rigid system can be dangerous. Neil's story illustrates how suppressing individuality in the name of success can lead to emotional collapse. His tragedy is not result of disobedience but being unheard. Through Nails, the film reminds us that talent and ambition means little without emotional support and understanding. In contrast, Todd's journey shows a different side of growth. Todd finds his voice slowly and quietly without confronting the system aggressively. His survival suggests that individuality does not always require rebellion. Sometimes it requires patience, encouragement, and safety. By presenting both Niles and Todd, the film avoids oversimplification and acknowledges the personal growth is uneven and deeply influenced by environment and support system. Despite a few limitations such as idealistic portrayal of inspiration and focus on individual responsibility rather than systemic reform, the film remains highly relevant in today's fast-paced and competitive world. Modern society continues to define success through grades, careers, income, and social status. In this context, Dead Poet Society reminds us that success without purpose can feel empty, and the achievement without integrity can lead to inner conflict. This film challenges viewers to rethink what success truly means. From business communication and leadership perspective, the full film offers valuable lessons. John Keating represents an empathetic and inspirational leader, someone who motivates not through fears or authority, but through trust, vision, and emotional connection. At the same time, the film highlights the responsibility that comes the leadership. Influence must be accompanied by awareness, care, and accountability. Leaders do not only shape outcome, they shape people. The final scene is the film captures its message perfectly. When the students stand on their desk and say, "Oh Captain, my Captain," it is not an act of rebellion, it is an act of gratitude, a quiet knowledge to their teacher who taught them how to think even if the system was not ready to change. This reinforces the idea that true leadership leaves a lasting impact not through control but through inspiration. Ultimately, Dead Poets Society is a timeless film because it does not provide any answer. Instead, it leaves the audience with questions about purpose, courage, honesty, and choice. It reminds us that Carpe Diem is not just about living loudly, but living truthfully. Long after the credits roll, the film stays with us, asking whether we are truly living in our own life or simply fulfilling roles written for us. Overall, Dead Poets Society deserves appreciation for emotional depth, philosophical insights, and last relevance. In that film, to continue inspire reflection across education, leadership, communication, and personal growth. More than anything, it reminds us that finding one voice matters and that learning to think oneself in the most powerful education of all. Thank you.